Rightio. We are now recording, Mike.
Welcome everyone to this extraordinary council meeting of the Norfolk Island Regional Council. The meeting's being held on the 17th of March 2022. We were a little late starting because of some technical issues, so we apologise for that to anybody who has been waiting for the podcast. I'll start the meeting by asking the General Manager to recite the Statement of Respect. Mr. General Manager.
The Norfolk Island Regional Council promotes a climate of respect for all. We will endeavour to inspire in our community shared civic pride by valuing and protecting our unique culture and environment, both natural and built for the current and future generations. We, the Administrator and staff of the Norfolk Island Regional Council, undertake to act with honesty and integrity, to conduct ourselves in a way that engenders trust and confidence in the decisions we make and the actions we take on behalf of the Norfolk Island community. We acknowledge the traditional custodians of this island.
Thank you, General Manager. There is only one item of business to be covered at this meeting, and that is a report from the Manager Services on Lightridge, and particularly in relation to purchasing new vessels. Mr. General Manager, over to you and your team.
Thanks, Mr. Administrator. Before you is an urgent report so that we can address a concern that we've raised with you over the last several months around safety operations of the Lightridge operations. And today a report that's before you from the Manager Services will detail how we will fix these problems in a very short time frame. So I'll hand it across to him now.
Thank you, Mr. General Manager.
Mr. Roy.
Thank you, Mr. Administrator. Following a number of discussions over the last few months, particularly December, January, February, we've been talking about the outcomes which have been observed through the Lightridge operations here on Island. The senior Lightridge team, particularly the Commonwealth and the Council, have been working towards coming up with a collective decision in regards to alternative Lightridge craft that could potentially be used on Island to the benefit of the community. Over the course of February and March, Norfolk Island Regional Council worked heavily with the Commonwealth Government Infrastructure team and the senior Lightridge team. Those people including Brad Collins, Jim Baldwin, Greg Robinson, Malcolm Duran, Glenn Williams, and also Darren Christian in regards to identifying potential suitable craft for future Lightridge operations here on Island. We are pleased to advise Mr. Administrator that we have found a couple of craft in regards to Lightridge operations on Island that we think would be particularly pertinent to the operations here and enable the Norfolk Island community to receive goods from ship to shore and also send goods back onto a boat and back to the mainland, particularly waste, to the benefit of the community. The two craft that we have found over the last couple of months is one is a purpose-built landing barge and the second one is a work punt. In the report before you today is an outline of the two vessels that we've identified for Lightridge operations. Basically, the purpose-built landing barge is a vessel that's designed for bringing material ship to shore and shore to ship, as per standards Lightridge operations. This particular vessel identified caters for cargo optionality and is a significant step change in the way that Lightridge could be developed on Norfolk Island. The purpose-built landing barge consists of a large deck area which would cater for safe loading and unloading of tour buses, particularly cars and large cargo from one platform. Additionally, the larger space enables safe loading and unloading of cargo on heavy swells. This vessel increases pallet transferability of up to threefold from current Lightridge vessels and provides the ability to transport light containers off island for waste purposes. With the capacity of 10 tonnes, the purpose-built landing barge offers a unique solution and presents a significant opportunity to enhance Lightridge services for the community of Norfolk Island. Before you in the council report, Mr. Administrator, is a number of photos in regards to the first vessel, which we've identified at BTB Marine in Harvey Bay. The second vessel that we've identified is what's known commonly in the industry as a work punt. Similar to the purpose-built landing barge, the work punt is designed for light ridge operations. The work punt is built for smaller and faster movements of cargo. The vessel is 10 by 3.2 metres wide and represents significantly larger light ridge craft than our current operation. The surveyed vessel caters for 4 crew operation with a 5-tonne deck cargo. Essentially, we can take up to 6 pallets on this vessel with speed. Powered by 2 140 horsepower engines, the work punt is foil for the larger purpose-built landing craft that we've just described. So before you today, Mr. Administrator, we're seeking, approval to purchase these boats for the light ridge operation. As discussed earlier on, we've worked hand in hand, particularly with the senior light ridge crew. I'd like to note that we sent the senior light ridge crew to the Australian mainland to view both of these vessels. The 3 gentlemen that I mentioned earlier went to Melbourne 2 weeks ago to have a look at the work punt, and they also went to Hervey Bay to have a look at the BTB marine vessel. All 3 gentlemen were happy with the vessels, and we're excited actually to bring these vessels back to Norfolk Island to work on the light ridge operations moving forward. Similarly, we've had further discussions with senior staff within the Commonwealth Department, those 3 gentlemen mentioned previously. Likewise, they are recommending the purchase of these vehicles also for the light ridge operation, and they have been fully supportive of the Norfolk Island Regional Council and our approach all the way through. Financial considerations, the recommendations further down outlines the cost of these vessels and represents a significant, financial commitment by Norfolk Island Regional Council to light ridge operations here on Island. Do you have any questions?
Thank you, Mr. Roy. Yes, I do. Just so that I understand how the vessels work, you've mentioned containers and you've mentioned palletised goods and their capacity to carry them. What size containers will fit on craft, and is it correct then that the containers can only be carried on the purpose-built landing barge and the work punt would be carrying palletised goods, or can you just go over that again for me, please?
Yeah, for sure. So the purpose-built landing barge is basically the vessel that could carry the containers. They would be 20-foot containers only, and only lightweight. At this stage, we're not proposing that we would bring containers onto shore at this point in time, purely due to the fact that we don't have a biosecurity facility at port. But what we can do with this facility is that we can take waste off island. So the containers that we've got packed with waste currently, this vessel has the ability to take those waste containers back to the ship and then back to the mainland.
So those containers are 20 foot or less?
Correct.
And when you said you're not proposing to bring containers in, you'd have to be replacing the containers that go out with waste would have to come back or be replaced by other similar containers.
That's correct, yes.
We just need to go through some biosecurity issues first. So that's not insurmountable, and we have done that in the past, but it was only temporary approval. We have to go through and get a longer term approval for that to happen every freight movement.
Okay, so eventually, setting aside the waste for 1 minute, eventually is it the intention that goods coming to island or freight coming to island would come in containers?
Yeah, that is the intention, Mr. Administrator. We're currently working with the Commonwealth Government on other strategies in regards to bringing containers to island, and that will be part of further investigation over time.
So when that occurs, do I understand you correctly that only the purpose-built landing barge is capable of carrying the containers?
That's correct, yes.
So when we get to that point in time, one vessel would be carrying containers and the other would still be carrying palletised freight.
Yes, correct. So the idea is that they work in tandem with one another. One of the vessels, obviously being the purpose-built landing barge, will be the larger vessel which can take containers, the buses, etc., that we spoke about previously. And then the work punt can move quickly in between ship and shore to carry multiple loads more quickly. And that's the idea behind it.
All right. And the actual life, the age and condition of both vessels, can you just cover that for me again, please?
The purpose-built landing barge at BTB Marine was actually built in 2015, surveyed in 2016. The vessel was actually built to carry building material between islands in North Queensland. So it's actually built for purpose for exactly what we want to do here on Norfolk Island in regards to lighterage. The polyethylene boat, as we've known, the work punt, that was built in a similar vintage of 2015. And that one has only been used for 12 months on the water. But similarly, that's been built for purpose as well, for carrying loads between islands.
So assuming they're properly maintained, what sort of useful life would we expect from them?
Well, these boats, the useful life out of these boats would be 10 to 20 years at least, Mr. Administrator. Both of them, we have the engineering available to us for all the boats, obviously going through the sale process, but they're very well built, structurally sound, and will be fit for purpose for a long time moving forward.
Thank you. When you say we have the engineering, are you telling me that we have the maintenance capability to look after the engines and maintain the vessels?
We do have that, but when I'm referring to engineering, I'm referring to the drawings and the structural specifications of the boats in that regard.
Oh, okay. All right. Thank you. That's all the questions I have. This proposal has my support, as you referred to earlier. There have been considerable concerns about the lighterage operations and the safety implications related to them, and the acquisition of these vessels will mitigate some of the safety issues that we have been so concerned about. So I'm certainly prepared to support the acquisition of vessels. And I see that this is an urgent transaction because we need to have this in place for the next ship arrival at Island. Hence the reason for dealing with this in an extraordinary meeting with a relatively short notice. So I resolve to adopt the recommendation, which is that the General Manager be approved to negotiate the purchase of second-hand vessels from one BTB Marine Harvey Bay at a price of $659,460, two Alu Marine Inverloch at a price of $266,500, three additional safety equipment, $50,000, and two, that the General Manager ensure the procurement and delivery of the vessels to Norfolk Island as close as practically possible to the next shipment, depending on available transport vessels. So resolved. Mr. General Manager, I understand there is no other business for this meeting. Is that correct?
That is correct.
Then I declare the meeting closed at 9:50 a.m. and I thank everybody for their attendance.